So when I was younger, I took piano lessons. How many of you also took piano lessons? Okay, got it. How many of you are still playing piano to this day? Okay, got it. Y'all are awesome, all of you, okay? Now for me, piano lessons were way more about my mom than they were about me because she always wanted to play the piano, but she never took lessons. So she did the sensible thing and channeled that regret into my learning the piano. She said that she wanted me to be well-rounded, but in reality, it was her living her life through me, which is very sad, Mom, okay? Now, I made it 6 months before quitting. Sorry, Mom, but I did learn something interesting during that short period of time, that a key part of playing the piano is learning to read sheet music, which shows you which notes to play. And there was a part of this that I found particularly interesting, the rest note. Let me say that again, the rest note. It's exactly what it sounds like. A moment during a performance when you don't actually perform anything. No wonder I liked it. That was like my favorite note, yeah. The music score didn't just leave a space there, it specifically instructed you to not play. It was so fascinating to me because the sheet music was telling me not to play music. That's interesting, isn't it? No, just play along, right? Now think about this concept in other areas of your life. When school tells you to take a break from school, it's awesome, isn't it? I mean, I loved that when I was in school. That was my favorite part of school, was the breaks from school. If your parents told you to take a break from chores or a break from curfew, you'd be like totally cool with it. But in general, we're not really encouraged to take many breaks, are we? In fact, for our lives, the opposite is true. We're told to do more in pretty much every area of our lives. We live in a culture that has normalized the 24/7 hustle. And I think there's a lot of reasons for this mentality, okay? Number one is technology. A bunch of years ago, teenagers like you could go hang out with friends, then come home and take a break from friends. And that sounds terrible, doesn't it? But these days, we manage our friendships all day, every day. If you have conflict with somebody in your English class, it doesn't stop when you leave school. You're probably texting about it all night, texting about it into the next day, all while you're managing a group text with your friends that lights up your notifications every 15 seconds, trying to post on Insta and like and comment on everyone else's post. And let's not forget about keeping up with your Finsta at the same time, right? There are no breaks for anyone. That's number one, technology. Number two is school. For some of you, you're just trying to survive and graduate high school. For others, it's all about you getting into the right college, because if you don't get into the right college, you feel like your entire adult life will be a complete failure, right? At least that's what your mom or stepmom seemed to tell you. But no matter how much or little you prioritize school, the workload seems endless, doesn't it? Number three is activities. Football started out as fun, same with soccer, basketball, volleyball, whatever other sports that you play. But then you were told that if you want to do well, you have to work harder than your competition. Same with the band, the debate club, musical theater, anything you're involved in. If you want to be the best, you have to give up the rest of your life and practice more. Number four is church. Maybe showing up at church has become just another commitment for you. And maybe it feels like it's just another place where you're told a bunch of things that you need to do. You've grown to feel like if you want to measure up with God, you have to work harder and more. And this is all enough to make us feel stressed out, right? And if you didn't walk in feeling stressed out today, I'm sorry if I just made you feel stressed out by talking about all this pressure in your life. You have a lot of things going on. Sometimes your life may even feel like you're on a treadmill, like you're constantly moving, but it seems like there's no break in sight. But we aren't meant to be on this kind of treadmill. We weren't made to constantly be in motion. And we've been talking in this series about how God made life to have a rhythm, and how there's a rhythm to loving Him. And today we're going to look at a very different, radical, and underrated concept of loving God with all of our soul. We're going to look at the connection between loving God and resting. Yes, you heard me correctly, resting. The idea of not resting from constant motion isn't a modern day idea. It's something that even people who lived in ancient times struggled with. And because of that, the Bible addresses this very issue. Chances are you've even heard this passage before, but maybe you've never connected it to your own life. Today we're going to look at one of the 10 commandments. Now, quick background. Thousands of years ago, a guy named Moses was a leader of the Israelites who the Bible refers to as God's people. And during his time, Moses' time, leading these people, God gave Moses 10 big principles to guide how they interacted with him and how they interacted with each other. And no matter your religious background, you probably know a few of these by heart, like honor your father and mother, and you must not murder. You may know some of these, but today we're going to look at one of the commandments that doesn't tend to get as much press. Okay, check this out. Remember to observe the Sabbath day by keeping it holy. You have 6 days each week for your ordinary work, but the seventh day is a Sabbath day of rest dedicated to the Lord your God. On that day, no one in your household may do any work. This includes you, your sons and daughters, your male and female servants, your livestock, and any foreigners living among you. For in 6 days the Lord made the heavens, the earth, the sea, and everything in them. But on the seventh day he rested. That is why the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and set it apart as holy. Now in this passage, God is telling his people to take 1 day off each week to rest and worship him. God even emphasizes that he himself took a day off after creating the world. Now, did God really need to rest? I mean, he's God, right? But no matter what his day of rest actually looked like, it was important to God that his people knew that he designed life to include a rhythm of rest. And it was so important that he modeled it for us. And what's amazing is that God told people this concept thousands of years before phones and group texts and sports leagues. Doing too much has always been a thing. People have always tried to fit as much activity into their lives as possible. And that's never been more true than today. In fact, I would say that today's culture celebrates the exact opposite approach to life. We're encouraged to always be on, always be engaged, always achieve more. If we don't study constantly, we won't make the grade. If we don't practice more, we won't achieve excellence. If we don't go to this party or go hang out with these people, we're gonna miss out. If we don't do all the right things all the time, we're not following God as well as we could. See, doing well in life depends on constant doing, constant availability, constant motion, right? But God is telling us something that seems counterintuitive. The rhythm of life requires rest. Let me give you some examples. A great musical performance requires rest notes to let the music breathe. The way we communicate requires rest notes. That's why we use periods and commas to keep sentences from becoming a chaotic string of words and ideas. The body was designed for rest, so every night when the sky gets dark, we sleep. And when you come to church, we want this time to be like a rest note. We want it to be a place where taking an intentional pause allows us to connect with the one who made us and loves us. And so this is the incredible truth. You can worship God with your rest. Let me say that again. You can worship God with your rest. And I think that God actually mandated us to pause so that we can simultaneously rest and build our relationship with him. And see, listen, church is meant to be a place where we can do that. It's not about doing more. It's not about trying to be somebody else. It's not about adding one more thing to your to-do list. This should be a place where you can rest in your relationship with God. Jesus invited us to do this very thing while emphasizing the very connection between rest and him. Check out what Jesus said. Then Jesus said, "Come to me, all of you who are weary and carry heavy burdens, and I will give you rest." Jesus knew that life can be heavy with all of the expectations we face every day. That's why he makes an amazing promise. Be with me. I'll carry what's worrying you. I'll carry what's stressing you out, and you can take a break. You can rest. Like, isn't that amazing? Jesus isn't asking you to do more. He's simply asking you to come to him and rest. When you choose to love God with all your soul, you allow yourself to rest in him. You allow Jesus to carry the things that feel heavy to you. So what would it look like for your soul to find rest? Here's my challenge to you. Build rest into your rhythm. Make it intentional. Figure out how to build rest into your day, your week, and your month. Now you may be thinking, you don't know everything I have going on. Like, you don't know all of my responsibilities. I have a job. I have to maintain my GPA. My coach will freak out if I start cutting back on my practice sessions. How exactly am I supposed to take a break? Well, that's a great question. It really is. Now, the answers are going to vary for each person, but there is one common denominator. Take time off. That may be an hour off, a day off, or stopping something altogether. It will look different for each person and each activity, but here's some things you can try. Number one, turn off your phone. I realize that this is an insane idea. I get it. And maybe you can't turn off your phone all day, but start small. Maybe just turn it off when you're at church. Maybe just, hang at home for a little while with your phone turned off. Maybe turn it off during class, okay? Maybe turn it off after dinner. Wherever you start, just try taking a rest with your phone. Number two, go somewhere where you can unplug. Maybe it's a beautiful place with great scenery. Maybe you live near water, beach, or a lake. Maybe you live near hills. Maybe it's a cool hiking spot. Maybe it's your library, okay? Whatever that place is, go there. Check out from the hustle for a little bit. Go there, check out from the hustle for a little bit, and take a pause. Number three, find a small way to be intentional in some time with God. This doesn't have to be a big thing, but do it outside of church. Maybe read and think about some Bible verses that, resonate with you. Spend some time in prayer. It doesn't have to be formal. You don't have to use a bunch of lofty language. Just be you. Maybe it's journaling out your thoughts to God as prayer, or try telling God your problems and what you're dealing with, and rest in that moment knowing that God is good. He's got you. Think about your daily, weekly, and monthly schedule and try to find ways to rest in those times. You were created to experience both work and rest. And when you choose to rest, take heart that you are choosing to worship God in those times by simply choosing to stop. And I know that the idea of taking a break sounds completely anti-everything that our culture is all about. And you know what? It is. It is counterintuitive to everything that we do. It was a revolutionary idea when God first said it, and it's revolutionary today. We live in a world where achievement is valued at all costs. But here's the truth. Life was designed to include pause notes, and it's not meant to throw things off or hold us back. It's meant to provide balance. It's not meant to disrupt our rhythm, but enhance it, because rest restores us and brings us to a closer connection with our Creator. So make a choice. Make a choice this week to take an intentional break and build rest into your rhythm.